Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on Deep Dive on NewsX, and I'm Uday Pratap Singh. We are, of course, looking at this big story emerging from across the border. On your screens now is an image of two Supreme Court judges who recently resigned from court in protest due to an amendment that causes such a sweeping change. What are such changes that brought about a series of resignations? Well, the man on your screen is Asim Munir, who has been given even more power than he already had. Pakistan's parliament has voted to give the army chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, new powers and lifetime immunity from arrest and prosecution, a move that critics say paves the way towards autocracy. What exactly is the meaning of this, and how has this become such a sweeping issue? Well, Pakistan's judiciary is in a moment of crisis as senior judges resign amidst a contentious constitutional amendment that reshapes the balance of power in favor of the military. Behind the crisis is the contentious 27th Constitutional Amendment, a sweeping package rushed through Parliament. Within days, lawyers, judges and opposition parties have argued that it has weakened the courts and elevated the military's top commander to a position with no modern parallel. Since then, Pakistan's judiciary has been hit by a series of high-profile resignations. On Saturday, Lahore High Court Judge Shams Mahmood Mirza stepped down, and his family said his decision was directly linked to the 27th Amendment. Justice Mirza was due to superannuate on March 6, 2028. He is a brother-in-law of former Prime Minister Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Secretary-General Advocate Salman Akram Raja. His departure followed those of Supreme Court Justices Mansoor Ali Shah and Athar Minalla. Justice Syed Manzoor Ali Shah and Justice Athar Minalla hung up their robes hours after President Asif Ali Zardari approved the 27th Amendment, describing the step as an affront to the judiciary in the 1973 Constitution. Justice Mansoor Ali Shah described the amendment as a grave assault on the Constitution and said the 27th Amendment dismantled the Supreme Court of Pakistan, subjugated the judiciary to executive control, and struck at the very heart of our constitutional democracy. The creation of a new federal constitutional court lies at the heart of judicial restructuring. The FCC now holds exclusive jurisdiction over constitutional matters, stripping the Supreme Court of its original powers. Pending petitions have already been shifted to the new court. President Zardari swore in Justice Aminuddin Khan as its first Chief Justice. 6 other judges were appointed, including serving Supreme Court and High Court judges, though one judge reportedly refused to join. The FCC's establishment has sparked intense concern. Critics say the president's new power to transfer judges risks becoming a tool to sideline dissenting voices. Opposition groups argue this will fundamentally weaken judicial independence and concentrate constitutional authority in the executive and military leadership. Government ministers, however, hail the package as historic and a step towards greater efficiency and national unity. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the amendment proved that solidarity prevailed during a time of national strain, with judges resigning, courts being reconfigured and the military gaining unprecedented constitutional control. Pakistan faces a moment of reckoning. The amendment, passed with overwhelming numbers in both houses, has dramatically restructured Pakistan's defense architecture, elevating Army Chief Asim Munir to Chief of Defense Forces. With command over all 3 military branches, his 5-year tenure now resets from the date of notification, enabling him to remain in office until 2030. The Senate has since rushed through 4 related bills, including amendments to the Army, Air Force and Navy Acts, along with changes to Supreme Court practice rules. These laws remove the earlier equality among service chiefs and replaces references to the Joint Chiefs of Staff system with a new National Strategic Command, further centralizing military authority under Munir. Reportedly, appointments, extensions and tenures under these reforms shall not be called into question before any court on any ground whatsoever. Experts quoted in multiple reports warn that the shift risks internal military tensions and further erodes civilian oversight. Lawyer Osama Malik described the reforms as something usually granted in absolute monarchies, arguing they grant lifetime protections not only to Munir but also to President Zardari. Opposition lawmakers responded with uproar, shredding copies of the bill and walking out. PTI leaders labelled the move deeply undemocratic and the final nail in the coffin of an independent judiciary. Critics say these changes could reshape the political landscape, particularly for nearly 200 cases involving former PM Imran Khan. Pakistan now enters a new and unsettled phase, with judges quitting, courts rewired and Asim Munir emerging as the most powerful figure in decades. The 27th Amendment has shifted the country's power centre. Critics warn this could rewrite key cases, including those against Imran Khan, and push Pak towards full military dominance. The real impact, it's only just beginning to show. Ashwini Dubey, AOR Supreme Court, is joining us live in the broadcast. Ashwini, what do you make of what's happening in Pakistan and now this this pushback from the judiciary with Supreme Court judges resigning there.
Yes, Uday, it's very unprecedented move where a civilian government is giving power to the person who is chief of army staff, and the constitutional amendment is not only taking away the power of the judiciary, this is the backbone of any democratic setup, but also when the judges would be appointed by the executive or the government, you may understand the quality of justice what they would deliver. The lifetime immunity given to a person will, of course, it means that Asif Munir has become one of the topmost powerful person of the Pakistan, even above than the president, above than the prime minister, above than the chief justices. And lifetime immunity also given to the Munir and 5 other officers with lifelong from arrest and prosecution will make him corrupt. Extended tenure and status you may see when their power, because in a democracy, the power lies in the government through the public. But here, by the constitutional amendment, power has been given to one person, only one person, a country which is having a weak, unstable economy, repressive laws, and this controversial constitutional change, that is 27th constitutional amendment, will definitely will weaken the country from inside, and the further resignation from the judges. And you see resignation, of course, and that to those judges who have served the country. Even if you see the Justice Jia Muhammad Mirzad's son, who has Lahore High Court judge, who resigned, who delivered the famous and only dissenting opinion among 7 judges in the case pertaining to the dismissal of Benazir Bhutto government by then President Farooq Ahmed Khan Laghri in 1996. The judge has held that Lahori's move was unjustified, and there was no evidence suggesting there was a breakdown of constitutional order. Now, as of now, the resignation of that powerful judge, of course, shows that the judiciary's power has been taken over, number one. Number two, having the control over the nuclear assets, because you see the Asim Munir would be having the control over the nuclear assets, and his authority extend to National Strategic Command, which oversees Pakistan's nuclear arsenal. The in this case, the decisive role of military appointment will make him more powerful, which is not good for any country which is having the democratic setup. The Federal Constitutional Court by 27th Amendment, which takes away the power of the Supreme Court, means the Supreme Court of Pakistan has only become an appellate authority, which
Okay.
has to hear civilian
What
tribunal.
do you believe was the objective? What was at play here? What is being done? Why is it being done? Why is this amendment being brought about? Is it the first step towards military rule once again? Do you believe Asim Munir is looking to oust the civilian government? Is that why we're seeing his ascent suddenly within Pakistan? What is at work here? What can be read between the lines into this move?
See the proximate change, if you see, and the what would happen tomorrow, because by amendment, and that amendment which has already become a law, because the president has already accepted it, endorsed it, so the power has already given to him. He is more powerful. Even the military rule is not imposed directly, indirectly military rule is already imposed. What is happening, the by giving a power center to one person, it shows that the president and prime minister are very weak. Like understand, in India, if the Supreme Court's power of writ or the Supreme Court's power of adjudicating those cases which are arbitrary to the basic notion of the constitution is taken away and given to the Lokpal, a Lokpal appointment is by the government, then you may understand in those situations whether the fair justice delivery system would be. Of course not. Whenever the executive or whenever the chief of army staff would be taking any decision, that decision will not be amenable to the law. And if it not will be amenable to the law, it means the constitutional authority and constitutional supremacy will go. And if it goes, then there is no public power, no people's power. It will become a power like the dictators have. In earlier, we have seen the many other countries which are having these kind of power, where there is no constitution, where there is no law. And tomorrow, if you see a country which is already facing which are the industry of terrorism, terrorists are, so tomorrow somebody will ask, by just you completely implement Sharia law. So what is happening in Afghanistan? What has happened in other countries? That would happen, and that is not good for any country where the politicians are appointed through the vote.
Yes. Okay. Ashwini Dubey, thank you for joining us with your perspective on this big story. On that note, slipping into a short break.